All right, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting of the Montgomery County Board of Supervisors, Monday, April 8th, to order at this time. And our first business item will be to go ahead and have the invocation and the pledge, and I'll ask Ms. Hill to lead both.
Please rise as you're able for a moment of silence, and then I will lead us in the pledge. Let us pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right. So tonight we have a couple of presentations, okay? And our first one we're going to have from the Virginia Cooperative Extension Service. And we have a new person that's going to come up. And Meredith, welcome.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Meredith Hoggett, and I'm the Ag and Natural Resources Extension Agent and Unit Coordinator for Montgomery County. I've been here 2 years, so I'm a little newer, but not too new, getting to know the county a little bit better as a Pulaski County native. But tonight we're just going to give kind of a report of what Extension does and kind of acknowledge some of the work that our office is doing. So with me, I have Wendy Silverman. She is our Master Gardener Coordinator in the office. So she'll be helping me do the presentation to kind of switch it up so you don't have to just listen to me. But we also want to recognize Dawn Barnes, who's our Family and Consumer Sciences Agent, Lisa Miller, who is our 4-H Program Assistant, Angie Helm, our Family Nutrition Program Facilitator, and then Margarita Palomino, who's our Administrative and Technical Associate. Because without them, we couldn't do as much as we do. So to start, I just wanted to make sure that everyone, whether you're on the board or you're in the audience, knows what Virginia Cooperative Extension is, because a lot of folks think of us as the best kept secret in Virginia, and we don't want to be a secret. We want people to know that we are here. So Virginia Cooperative Extension is found in all of the counties across the state. We have 3 main agent areas. It's 4-H, which is youth development, agriculture and natural resources, family and consumer sciences. Officially, Extension began in 1914 with the Smith-Lever Act and land-grant universities. So we actually are the educational outreach program of Virginia's 2 land-grant universities, which includes Virginia Tech and Virginia State University. So we offer science and research-based information and solutions for anyone in Virginia. So essentially, this is like the summary of our mission is to increase the well-being of Virginians. And that sounds extremely broad, but Extension actually does provide a broad array of resources, programs, and other services to anyone in Virginia. And so we try to do that for our citizens in Montgomery County. So to start, I'm just going to highlight some of the A&R programs. I have given you all a more detailed report in front of you. We could spend several hours going over things, but I know that you don't want to use that much time. So we're just going to highlight some of the programs that we've done. So if you were here in 2022 when we gave an annual report, that's when I had first started, and I had created the Montgomery County Grower and Producer Survey to give to any of the producers in the county. And to the left, yes, still on the left of the screen, you'll see the top areas of interest that were returned to us from that survey. And since then, I've gotten more responses to the survey to have about 72 so far, and I continue to give out that survey to any new client that contacts us to see what their true needs are so that our programming is meeting those needs. So this past year, I was really targeting those top interests. You'll see some of the different programs that I hosted. One of the biggest ones being in February, where we brought Dr. Flessner, who is a weed science specialist from Extension, to do a pasture and hayfield weed control program. And then I also followed up with a program I had mentioned before of the Smartphones for Smart Farmers program, because a lot of our farmers, the average age is 58, and so most of them are quite a bit older. And a lot of times, one way that we will ask for people to send us information for maybe weed ID or pest ID is through emailing pictures from their phone, things like that. That's not always a skill that everyone has. So this program actually focused on just those basic use skills with your smartphone so that they could send pictures, and then also some emergency service type apps so that they know if they are out in the field by themselves, they can still be found if need be. So that one, I was really excited about that program. We didn't have a huge number of people, but it actually worked out because we had the Virginia Farm Bureau, young Virginia Farm Bureau members, and then some more Farm Bureau members on campus come and volunteer for that. And they gave one-on-one assistance. So we would go through everything in the presentation, one skill at a time, and then they'd make sure that on each individual's phone, they knew how to do that. They had homework assignments, so they had to actually send me pictures. I wanted to make sure they knew how to send a good, clear picture, because that helps us do our job and provide them with the best information. And then here I have a couple of the programs we've done so far this year in result of those top areas of interest as well. So I don't only serve our producers or ag producers, I'm also serving the citizens in the county who are interested in any kind of hort or ag on a small scale. So last year I wanted to focus on the backyard chicken basics because, which we're kind of starting to see again, we had a spike in egg prices, which made everyone want to go and run and buy chicks all of a sudden and be growing their own chickens and producing their own eggs. So this was in response to that, so that people would have the information they needed before doing that to see if it truly would be a good investment of time and money. We also do the well water clinic, which this year's will be May 22nd. For anyone with a well, they can get their well water tested. This year it's $70 per kit, but Montgomery County does have a subsidy, which keeps it down to $10 if people will request that. I also did a couple of other programs that were a lot of fun and get a lot of different people involved. Our pollinator walk at the Hahn Garden was a really fun one for me. I love insects. We talked about native pests or native pollinators, not pests. And then we went out and caught different insects and brought them back in to identify and look at. And you can see in this picture, it brought a whole different array of age groups out to see that. So that was a lot of fun. And Hokie Bug Fest is another one that I really love to participate in. If you have not been, I suggest go, since we are so close to Virginia Tech campus. It's in October usually every year, and there's about 7,000 people who come through there. You get to see all kinds of different stations on different insects, invertebrates, other animals as well. I like to bring a bumblebee hive, a live bumblebee hive from Red Sun Farms, and talk about how bumblebees are used in the greenhouse industry. So to switch over to 4-H, our old 4-H agent, we loved her, Michelle, she actually transferred to Craig County in January. So we have been without a 4-H agent, but good news, we have one coming up in April 25th. She'll be starting her first day. Her name is Kendra Young, and she has 20 years of experience in Henrico County, but she's actually from Montgomery County originally. So she grew up in 4-H here, so we're really excited to have her join us.
So one large program that we do is called Junior Hokie Showcase, and this is on campus at the Alfred Stewart Arena, and it's for fourth graders from from 5 counties. This year, Giles was unable to be here for our event, and that was because it was the day of their water main break and they had no water and school was canceled. But usually we have everybody here. So this year we had over 750 youth and teachers attend. And Pulaski was, that was last year's. Pulaski couldn't make it in 2023. In 2024 was Giles who couldn't make it. Of the teachers that surveyed, 95% said that the event was correlated really well with their fourth grade SOLs. And we really worked hard to make every station coincide with their standards of learning. Yours.
I'm going to speak on this one just because we were part of this. So in 2023, we did our first time doing a special interest interdisciplinary project for 4-H. And this included the A&R agent, so myself, our 4-H agent, Michelle, and then our FCS agent, Dawn. So we actually got together and provided 7 different sessions, learning about product development, pricing, marketing, branding, and got some students to actually come up with a product and sell it at the Christiansburg Farmers Market. So we had a lot of really fun little creations. We had some hand-sewn stuffed animals, cookies, duck eggs, goat's milk soap, and hair scrunchies. So we went through the different regulations. They had to properly label things, such as the eggs. There are requirements for that. We went over what needed to happen for them to be able to do the goat's milk soap, all of the food labeling and everything. So we had a lot of fun. In the picture with the little stuffed animals, you might find a couple of those in my office because they were too cute to resist. But it was a really great program. And all of the parents said that they learned so much about what it is to be a business person, what you need to actually consider before going into a business, like, is there a market for it? You know, do you have the customer base for it? How should you price things? So it was a really fun program to do. We hope to do that in the future once we have our new 4-H agent.
Another program that 4-H has done over the years is our embryology program. And this is an opportunity to incubate eggs and hatch in the classroom. So we've had 30 teachers in 8 elementary schools do this project. And they're mostly second graders. Some are even first or kindergarten classes. And in 2023, we had 505 students participated between February and April. For those of you who work in this building, we also have an incubator in our own office in case they don't work out there, that we have some. And so if you hear any peeping for a week when it's hatching week, come on over and see those little peeps. They're really adorable.
I'm trying to get them to do a live feed of the hatching. We'll see if we get there. And for our Master Gardener program, should have kept going. Master Gardeners, we have this year, starting 2024, we have now 110 Master Gardeners. So there's a lot, and that's for all 4 counties. So this is going for our county here, for Montgomery County, we have 64 certified members. We have 14 trainees this year in Montgomery County. So that means a total of 78 of our 100, it says 111, one's moving, so that's why I said 110. I just found out last week. But 111 or 110 of us are from Montgomery County. In 2023, we had 17,805 direct contacts. That means working one-on-one, face-to-face with a client. And 20,810 indirect clients. That's through email, social media, and telephone conversations. And in 2023, our hours served was over almost 8,000, 7,704 hours. So bringing that to our value added to our county, this is by national value of how many dollars per hour they would have gotten paid if it was a paid position type of thing. So that's how this goes. And the national value for our services was $244,987, and in Virginia value is $251,073.36. So we did a lot of service, and I'm really proud of our volunteers. So New River Valley Master Gardener Association, that's an organization that's part of the Master Gardeners, awarded over $7,689 to 10 different garden projects in Montgomery County for the growing season. They do a grants project. And some of them were for like Great Little Park on Main, Montgomery County Government Center's Raised Bed Project, the Live, Work, Eat, Grow Hill Community Garden, the Montgomery Museum Garden. We gave some to a Boy Scout troop.
Smithfield Plantation, VCOM on campus, Southpaw Cafe, Nellie's Cave has a perennial garden that we're working with, and Sir Isaac Walton League also got some money for their garden project. That's me too. So for family consumer sciences, we've done a lot of different programs in that area as well. Home food preservation is a big one. And last year we had 16 people participate in a hands-on canning workshop downstairs in this building to learn about the USDA recommended procedures. And in addition, 6 citizens had their canner pressure gauges calibrated, and 2 were required replacement. And if they didn't come, they wouldn't have known that. That's really important because if they're not been replaced, at least 100 jars worth of product could have been at health risk. So being able to do these calibration activities have really helped. We've also done Serve Safe courses, and I've participated in one of them. So these are for food production management certifications. It's recognized by the Department of Health and is in meeting requirements to be a certified food protection manager. I did it because of the Master Gardener program. We are also doing tomato tasting at the Tomato Festival, so we're using a lot of foods. And I'm like, I really should have this food safe, Serve Safe program. And it is a very long day and a very long training, and I'm so glad that Extension puts it together. It's offered for food service workers at restaurants, hospitals, schools, and childcare centers. It covers food safety concepts such as sanitation and food storage, safety regulations, pest management, and safe food handling practices. And in 2023, 30 participants attended class in Montgomery with 80% pass exam. Also, we had a class here in Spanish for Serve Safe, of which 6 participants attended and 4 of those 6 passed. Oh, I'm still on. Wellness fairs. So we also do wellness fairs where the Master Gardeners also work with the Family Consumer Sciences. And Montgomery County has exhibited at 3 wellness fairs in 2023. And they share information relating to healthy lifestyles, lowering salt, and growing herbs. So our focus last year was look at all the salt in your food. And how can we mitigate that salt? Well, use other flavors like herbs, which are healthy. So they learned about the salts, they learned about different herbs in their food, and then they went over to the Master Garden table right next door and started their own herb garden. So it was kind of a neat share that we've done for those health fairs. Family nutrition.
So I'll share briefly on the family nutrition program. So Angie Helm is our facilitator for this. So family nutrition program provides nutrition and healthy lifestyle education to limited resource Virginians. So it's funded by the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, so SNAP-Ed, and Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program as well. So their motto is Eat Smart, Move More. So they're just about getting active and eating well. So the program that they actually put on consists of 4 to 8 sessions of their Eating Smart, Being Active curriculum. And you do have to be eligible to be able to attend these programs. But everyone that attends actually gets this picture right here, all of these items. They'll get to take them home. Some of it includes measuring cups, food thermometers to make sure that meat's being cooked to the proper temperature for food safety, a cooking cookbook, a SNAP cookbook. But participants learn about making those healthy choices within their budgets. They gain valuable food preparation skills and discover ways to be more active as well. So this is actually our lovely Angie Helm. I love this picture and this quote. So she said, "My participant in the grocery store showed me her shopping cart and said, I can make meals with real food instead of using boxed meals." So we think that's incredibly important, making sure that people are eating healthy, but still enjoying it as well. So in 2023, she had 73 EFNEP and 29 SNAP-Ed clients for 8 session lessons. 88% saw an improvement in food resource management practices. 95% improved their food safety practices. And then overall, she provided 1,157 clients with short-term face-to-face education through different events and other lessons as well. So that's just our quick overview. Hopefully it was quick enough, of Extension and Montgomery County Extension. If any of you all are interested in seeing what we offer throughout the year, and have social media, we do have a Facebook page. It's Virginia Cooperative Extension, Montgomery County. And we regularly post different upcoming events. We have a bucket gardening workshop that we'll be doing to kind of show that growing your own food doesn't need to be just for folks that have the space. You can do that on a patio or a porch and make it more accessible. And then we also have a seed to shelf series that we're doing throughout the year. I'm working with Dawn on doing that. Going from, we've already started, where we started with seed preparation, garden preparation, rolling through pests, harvesting, food preservation. So we'll do canning workshops and freezing and drying workshops as well. So I just wanted to throw that out. If you ever need anything, because we are here for you all, you are all citizens of Montgomery County, soil samples, things like that, give us a call. We'd love to help. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Are there any questions, comments? I want to thank you all for the incredible amount of work that you do. Because every time you make a presentation, I just can't imagine how you reach all those people in all those hours. So thank you very much. And thanks for keeping us informed. Yes. Vice Chair Fidzikowski.
You do so many programs, and I'm sure there are specific audiences you're looking at, but are you happy with the turnout in attendance for those programs, or you feel like maybe people aren't getting the word, or how do you feel about that?
I think we can always improve the number of people we reach. It's something that we're trying to work on, and Extension in general is trying to work on across the state, because it is that best kept secret, and we do not want to be a secret. We have pretty good attendance, and the longer that we're here, the more people hear through word of mouth of different programs that they've attended. That's why we try to share on Facebook and things. But the more kind of visibility we get, the better, because then we can reach more people. And we try to offer all of our programs either for free or at a very low cost, because we realize that not everyone can pay a lot. So we try and get funding through sources like grants, sponsorships, awards. If we can submit through Extension, sometimes we'll get programming money that way. So it is helpful. The more people that come, the better for us as well, because it just shows that how many people we can reach if they know about us.
Well, that's good to hear. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
We're real appreciative, at least in my household, of the services. My boys look forward to going to 4-H camp each summer. Last summer was a bummer because they got waitlisted into doing it. So that's one that people do know about and really look forward to going to. So, and also our backyard chickens got started through hatching an egg in a classroom. So here we are.
That's great.
Thank you.
I don't know how long you've been doing the, having the chickens in our building, but I just learned that
Yeah.
within the past year. I didn't know. They're very quiet.
They also had quail and ducks in there too. That's what we've been talking
I know,
about, so I'm
that'd be
hoping to
cool.
have a live
Yeah.
feed sometime.
Yeah, that'd be really neat. Okay. All right, well, thank you. Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we have our resident engineer, David Clark. And did you want to address this before we open the public hearing?
Yes, I'll
Okay.
do a brief introduction. This is the annual public hearing for the secondary road construction draft budget and the draft 6-year plan. I presented a plan to the board, a draft plan, and it's been published. We have had advertisements in the newspaper. So I will go through the draft plan, and it's just a working draft. It's basically last year's plan that was passed by the board. The numbers get updated, and in fact, they're slightly different than what I sent you to the draft because they keep changing them. This is actually a more than just a minor change to it too. The unpaved road money stays the same. at an allocation of $438,971. But the telecommunication fee is the other portion of your 6-year plan, or of your secondary construction allocation. And that is a fee that the state collects for allowing telecommunication companies to locate on the right-of-way. There are permits and fees involved in that, and that gets collected and redistributed to the county's secondary construction budget. The important thing of that money is there's no strings, as far as no earmarks or strings attached to how you can use it. It can be used on the secondary system, but the unpaid road funding has to be used on unpaved roads of over 50 vehicles a day. The telecommunication fee money can be used for small projects, spot improvements on any secondary road. It's also where most of your rural addition funding comes from. A rural addition is where you take a private road, upgrade it, and it becomes a state-maintained road. And we're working on one right now, as a matter of fact. Opal Lane is being worked on as a rural addition. It's a current private road, and it's using funds from your secondary construction allocation and mostly those telecommunication funds. In my draft that I sent to the county, it was proposed or estimated that the allocation would be $102,000, and that has gone up to $250,000. So percentage-wise, quite a bit. Projects are very expensive, and it's still not enough to do like we used to do, maybe a large-scale project on a paved road. But that, and combined with the safety money that we also get in roughly the $100,000 range, is enough to do some kind of significant projects, and we'll be working on that if it stays the same, because that's subject to change. Again, they collect that money at the state level and distribute to the counties on simply a population percentage basis. If you have 10% of the state's population, you get 10% of that fund. So I'll go through the draft plan. I'll note any changes from last year's plan, and then we can hear from the public if there's any members from the public here to request that the board include their road in the plan. Nothing has to be acted on this evening, but it will have to be acted upon soon, because we'd like to do this before the beginning of the next fiscal year. So I'll go ahead and go through the draft priority list. And the number one thing on the draft list is just countywide services. And that's the various things that we have to charge to construction, because we don't have accounts for maintenance and its new signs, and if there's a new guardrail. A lot of the engineering that we do for these rural rustic roads are charged to that. And with the increase in telecommunication fee, I've proposed in the draft construction budget that we put, instead of $30,000, that we put $70,000 to that of our extra $148,000 that we're getting. Number 2 on the draft priority list is Taylor Hollow Road, really the top priority of our unpaved roads. And if you'll notice, I've put that as number 2 and 3. We have a chance to use some funding that has to be used fairly quickly. And so we can get part of Taylor Hollow done this summer. The portion from Lester's Gate Road to the first bridge. The next project, that'll use the money we currently have available. And then it's proposed, since we did initially proposed to go nearly a mile, about 3/4 of a mile beyond the low water structure that we've already done. We'll do that in the second phase of that project. So we're still going to do the whole thing, but in order to take advantage of some extra funding, we're going to accelerate the first roughly third of a mile. So that's the first third is number 2 on the draft priority list. Number 3 would be the rest of that, the next part of that on Taylor Hollow Road. Number 4, Poplar Hollow, an unpaved road off of Route 11 in Shawsville. And then number 5 on the list is going to be quite a large project. We may end up doing the same thing with that one. It's breaking it into sections, because that's a 2-mile long road, Poff School Road, kind of in the Reiner area. That's the draft priority list. It's basically what the plan was last year, with the modification of breaking Taylor Hollow into 2. And don't be surprised if we have to do the same to Poff School when we get to that portion. So I'll step aside and let any members of the public
Okay.
speak.
Let's
I don't
see
know
if there are any
Or
questions.
if the board wants to make any comments right now?
Yeah, I think Supervisor Demott has
Okay.
a question.
I do have a question, thank you. For Taylor Hollow, I know you mentioned up to the low water bridge. Do we have anywhere on our plans at all to go past the low water bridge? I had a citizen specifically ask me that question.
Not right now.
Okay.
That was the original section of it, and that's probably only gets you about halfway to the end. It's a end state maintenance is a little over a mile off of Lester's Gate, and quite a number of people live at the end of it. It's narrow for most of it. It gets narrower as you go. So at $1 million a mile, kind of a rule of thumb, it may be more than that on that next part because you've got a creek on one side, a hillside on the other, and it's just tough to get a 16-foot wide road in there. But that could definitely be added at some point or changed or whatever. But right now, the plan is to go just beyond the low water structure, maybe into the first curve. There's a driveway right there, and then it goes around the curve that gets pretty narrow.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Chair Fidzikowski, and then I'll come down there.
Was there an increase in that telecommunications fee? Is that why it jumped
Yeah,
up so
it's
high?
all that, the increase, the total allocation goes from 541,000 to 689,000, and that's all into telecommunication fee. So maybe they collected more than they thought and redistributed it, but it's all, that entire roughly 148,000 is in telecommunication fee.
Okay, but that's some kind of a dollar figure, right? That people get charged? Is
Yes.
that what went up?
Oh, I
or
don't, I
just
see what
more
you're saying.
people?
I don't know. I don't know that it was just a difference in the fees charged for locating on the right of, or if we just had more activity.
Because that was one of the fees that several counties got together, including us, and we had talked about requesting that from the General Assembly, that this is where the money's coming from, and none of the fees have been increased in 20 years or whatever, maybe longer. I was just curious if the General Assembly did something to it.
Not that they may have. They didn't warn me that it was coming. I happened to decided to pull up the latest version of the plan. I just noticed it today.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay, Supervisor Bone?
Following up on the Taylor Hollow Road. So the first third of the mile is all part of that flat area before you start going down the hill.
It will include the connection down, and we're going to do it in place. We're going to include the curve in there, but it's going to be in the current location because we don't have we don't have any right of way. We have prescriptive easement, but we can build it in that prescriptive easement. We've spent a long time looking at that, as you and I have talked about. If we go straight through, you're 40 feet below the peak of that. There's a reason that road's there. It was where it is right now. But we do plan on doing that part with plant mix asphalt instead of with a tar and gravel because of the steepness of it and the turn of it and the fact that it'll still probably be fairly well shaded in the winter. So that short section there will be plant mixed.
So again, that the actual route of the road before the first bridge won't change.
No.
It won't change too much.
Right,
You're just going to
correct.
pave it, which
Pave
is
it where
super
it is,
great.
yes.
And then the second year.
And it's actually
will-
very wide in that curve.
Right. And then the second year will be between that bridge and the low water bridge
Yes.
and
Just a
to
short
that
distance, yeah.
driveway
The
on the
approach
curve
just
kind
after
of
that,
thing.
yeah.
Sounds good. And you mentioned a little bit about Opal Lane.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a timing for that?
I'm not sure if that will get done this summer. It's not a very long road. It
Right.
depends on how we progress with getting all the, there are some utilities out there that may or may not have to be moved depending on how we go. But I think it's moving along fairly well. But that's the county has a role, the county staff has a part to play in that, and then VDOT comes in. We actually accept the road into the state system before it gets paved. So once all that stuff is done, VDOT will go ahead and say, yeah, it's ours, because technically we're not supposed to spend money on a private road. So what we do is we take it in
Right.
with the promise that the county has money, and it doesn't have to be county money. The county just has to identify that the funding is there, and if it's in your secondary construction allocation, then that's fine.
And I forgot to ask the question about Taylor Hollow Road, further down the road, how the sides of the road are kind of crumbling into the stream. Is there any chance you guys are going to be able to put those larger rocks to reinforce the road?
It would be a separate project on the gravel road part. One thing I will bring up, though, is it remains to be seen how this will come out in policy, but I believe there was a bill passed in the General Assembly that is going to allow unpaid road funds to be used for improvements that fall just shy of paving. You don't have to pave. Right now, it's unpaved road funds. You got to pay, But I think the way I saw this bill, and it'll have to be taken from, a bill language into policy, VDOT policy, but it will allow us to do something like that, like what you're saying, with construction money, not with maintenance money, because they can get pretty expensive doing some of these improvement projects on unpaved roads, and it's kind of maintenance, but it just wrecks our maintenance budget because we've got over 150 something miles of unpaved road in Montgomery County, and but it'd be great if it works out through this bill and turning it and going into policy that it's as simple as that. Yes, you can now use unpaved road money for doing improvements on unpaved roads that don't include hard surfacing. Because some people actually, they move to a gravel road because they like it and they don't want the increased traffic and the increased speed. But it would be nice if you could fix some slopes, improve some drainage, and do some improvements like that.
Okay. Supervisor Kitts?
Yeah, I had a chance to talk with Dan over at MPO the other day, and we were talking about Crab Creek. I think he said something to you offline, but about the low water bridge right near the Christiansburg water treatment plant.
We are going to work on that. That's in the plan. We've got the safety money I was speaking of is identified for that. I don't know the timing on that. There are environmental rules for getting in the creek and things like that. I'll find out what the time frame is on that. But yeah, we will be doing not the part underneath the railroad. There's not much we can do about that. But that slab there is in pretty bad shape, and we'll be working on that.
Yeah, the entrance to that tunnel and the other side, like the entrance, there's about a 2.5 foot up. It's a dip right before you go up because the water's going through it. But then that low water bridge is like real close. So
Yeah,
okay,
I'll find out the time frame on that.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you. That's all I have.
Any other questions? Supervisor King?
Just one. Paul School Road, you got down here $2.25 million. And the only thing we're getting now is roughly $560,000 a year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's going to take a long time, and we're probably going to have to split it into more than one project.
Is there something else we could do to move that road forward? I mean, we've been waiting for a while. Not your fault, I'm just saying.
You can move it to number 2 on the list if you want to. I don't know how representatives
Well,
from the other.
we still don't have $2.25 million there.
Nope, you don't. You get the total allocations are in the 800,000 range, but Poplar Hollow's not going to be cheap either. So
Yeah. Well, is there something maybe if this board desires next year, we could do part of it?
again, you can
It
put
up.
you can change the priority list and
Oh,
split
not
it
change
into
the
more.
part list. You're going where you're going now. I'm talking about the next round.
But what I'm saying is that, yeah, you can put a half a mile of Paul School Road on there, but right now it would be after we're done with Poplar Hollow Road.
Right. Okay. All right. And I got another question, but it don't have to do with this public hearing. So if you come back up and I can ask you that.
Okay,
Is that right, Marty?
it's up to the,
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay, thank you. And at this point, we're going to open up for the public hearing on the 6-year secondary road improvement plan. And we have one person that has signed up, but others may speak after that. And you'll have 4 minutes. You come up to the podium, and the yellow light will go on after 3 minutes. That's your warning light, and then the red light will come on at the end of 4 minutes. And we would like to remind everyone if they could make sure that their cell phones are on vibrate so that everyone can hear everything clearly. So at this time, I do have a citizen signed up to come up, and that's Michael Vest. Come on up, Mr. Vest. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you for your time tonight, and it sounds like you've got a lot of hands asking for a lot of money, that's for sure. But my name is Mike Vest. I'm a resident of Montgomery County, have been for over 30 years, and I've lived in the Roanoke district of Montgomery County for almost 7 years. I love Roanoke area. I love the people there, the good folks. And my reason for coming this evening is to communicate to you my request that you include in the budgeting process a section of Fairview Church Road in Roanoke. The section of Fairview Church Road, if you turn off of Route 8 onto Fairview Church Road until you get to the intersection of Dairy Road, has been professionally paved. It's very smooth, very even, well striped for safety. Most of the driveways, residential driveways, have an asphalt apron emptying into each driveway, which makes the road look nice and professional. Additionally, the section of Fairview Church Road from the intersection of Piney Woods until you intersect Childress Road has also been paved, and a number of those driveways also have the nice aprons emptying into their driveways. My request is that there would be an inclusion of the section of Fairview Church Road from the intersection of Dairy Road until you reach the intersection of Piney Woods. That stretch of road has only been milled, shot with tar, and then a coating of stone. It's damaged a number of our cars out there. The tar and stone method also causes a lot of pitting on vehicles. In addition, this section of Fairview presently, I counted them just a moment ago, has over 34 holes in the pavement that range from the size of a grown man's fist up to several holes that are large enough to bury a small animal. At some blind spots on this section, some of the larger pits and holes are in locations that could cause a lot of damage, even an accident, and especially for motorcyclists. With respect to Dairy Road, that intersects Route 8 and then Fairview Church Road has received the same treatment, simply milling and then tar and then stone. There are also several holes on that road that needs immediate attention. One area is in a sharp curve. I believe just recently it had some crusher run put on it. It lasted 4 days. Due to the milling, tar, gravel method, when you come to a stop at that intersection at Dairy Road and Fairview Church Road, the momentum of the cars coming to a stop has caused the gravel to come loose and is piled up into the driving aisle of Fairview Church Road. Right now, I just saw it on my way here, there's a pile of loose gravel there that would fill at least 2, if not 3, 5-gallon buckets in the Fairview Church Road. And I'm not an engineer, and I can't speak to any of the specifics to this, but common sense says that if somebody on a motorcycle hitting a pile of gravel at 50, 55 miles an hour could easily have an accident. And they're on a corner, there's a cattle corral and a head gate. And again, I'm not a safety engineer, but it wouldn't take much to create a really bad situation there. So I respectfully request that whoever's responsible would give Fairview Church Road and Dairy Road your consideration in making the budgeting plans for road improvements in our county. Good to hear about Paul School Road in our area, but I'd like to see it done professionally paved as on each end it has from Dairy Road until Piney Woods. Childress Road, I understand, has received some paving. Union Valley has over the years, as well as sections of Meadow Creek. I would ask that you consider Fairview Church Road and Dairy Road as a priority for paving improvements. I don't know about the milling and the tar and stone method, but out there it doesn't seem like it's lasting. Without sounding critical, it looks sloppy. And ultimately, once the gravel has come up off of it, it really can become very dangerous.
Mr. Vest, your time is up.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay. All right. No one else had signed up. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward during this public address? Okay. Seeing no one, then we will close the public address. And public hearing, and we'll move to public address and open that up, and I'll read our guidelines for that. This is a time that we welcome you to comment on issues related to the county. We had a sign-up sheet that was available before the meeting for citizens to sign up to speak, and we had one speaker that signed up. Following that, we'll have members from the audience that may address the board. All comments must be directed to the chair and the board from the speaker's podium at the front of the room. As stated earlier, you'll see the yellow light come on after 3 minutes, and then the red light will come on after 4. This is our time to listen to you. We don't reply to questions during this time, so when you come up, you just state your name and where you reside. And if you have any written statements or information that you want to leave with us, you may leave that with the board clerk. And speakers will be judged out of order should they engage in personal attacks, use profanity or abusive language, or debate with the audience. And we try to remind the audience just to be real respectful of the speaker's time by not applauding or interrupting. So at this time, we do have Mr. Pack has signed up to come and speak. And after that, if there's anyone else, they may come up. Welcome, Mr. Pack. Okay.
Thank you. My name is Wayman Pack, and I live on Piney Woods Road in Ryder. And as I sat out in the audience and listened to the proposed budget being discussed, I at first thought that 5% raise for our county employees was maybe a little high, but something that the average worker earning $20 an hour, which is $41,600 a year gross, could put to good use. What wasn't mentioned during any of these discussions was what the 5% would mean for other county employees who are presently earning over $100,000 per year. An employee earning $41,600 per year would see an annual gross increase in pay of $2,080, while the employee earning $100,000 would see a gross increase of $5,000. Let's look at that for a minute, because right now there is a pay differential of $58,400. After a 5% across-the-board raise, the differential would be $60,320. You see what's happening here? The wage gap between the lower wage earning employees and the employees at the top is increasing. This is in no way an equitable situation. Let's go a little further. An employee currently earning $150,000 will receive an increase of $7,500. An employee earning $192,000 will earn an increase of $9,600. I understand that additional responsibility comes with administrative positions, but let's be realistic here. Number one, do we really have employees who deserve to receive a 5% raise when they are already earning more than five times what the employee makes, who is out in the elements all year long while they are in an office performing their duties? Perhaps it is because I have a blue-collar background and have worked outside when it was over 100 degrees with no shade, 10 degrees below zero with the wind blowing at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to thaw water lines with a steam wand and having the mist blow back in my face. Number two, do you really believe that no one else sees this disparity? Number three, why do we have county employees with salaries above what our representatives in Washington have? Congressional pay for House and Senate members is set at $174,000 per year. House and Senate majority leaders earn $193,400. The Speaker of the House of Representatives is the highest paid federal representative and has a salary of $223,500. We have at least one county employee who earns more than him. First of all, do you actually believe that we have employees that have more value than these examples? These increases would be in addition to the VRS increases because of the higher salaries. And although the Congress seems to be in a state of perpetual gridlock when it comes to matters of importance, at least they have a responsibility to a greater number of citizens than anyone in our county. Morgan Griffith represents over 785,000 citizens of the 9th Congressional District and has a lower salary than some of our county employees. Looking at these facts, I have revised my original opinion. Set a cutoff limit. Anyone earning over that amount does not receive the 5% raise. When you speak of tax rate increases and knowing that part of these funds will exacerbate an excessive wage gap, how can you in good conscience vote for these increases? You say that we need a tax rate increase when I say that you need to do budget trimming starting at the top. There are also 31 non-mandated items totaling over $917,000 in your budget. I'm not recommending you cut him out, but look at what the county return on investment is for each of these items and see where fat can be trimmed. Only 49.9% of the county acreage is taxable. We cannot continue to carry the other 51.1% of the county at such a high rate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pack. Would anyone else like to come forward at this time? See Mr. Beard? Welcome.
Welcome. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Hope everyone have a nice evening and had a good time seeing the eclipse this afternoon. I know it was pretty cloudy and it didn't get to see much. Anyways, I was looking through the budget again, and this was on page, I think it's 281, and it has the kind of flow chart of priorities, and it says voters at the top, followed by board of supervisors and school board, and so on and so forth. But it's missing a couple of things. Okay, voters have some competition has between the PACs, political parties. You also have competition with students voting and not having a role in the county. We have what's really the biggest one is missing is the teachers union. We have with the board of supervisors, we have Mary Biggs on the board with Dr. James Felderman, who's VEA president, for the We the People for Education. The teachers union also supplied money to school board members and we're in the schools. Okay. So that's on that page. So I want to review some other new information I missed last week was 57% of our homes are owner occupied in our county, and 37% of our county earn under 50K. Okay, and the median income was 65,000. Okay, so what I've got here is the teacher 10-month scale and the 12-month scale. So a teacher only works 10 months out of the year, makes $48,000, $48,850, and for the new one is for next year is $50,412. Okay, that's with no experience at all with a bachelor's degree. You're making $50,000 a year as a starting teacher in Montgomery County school system. $50,412 is starting pay with no experience, okay? So we can go on and on through all this different stuff, and I meant to pass these out, but here's just for everybody, so you guys can see it for yourselves. So, and if you work 12 years, so that if you work 12 months a year, the 50,000 converts into $58,600. So, you're making close to $60,000 with no experience if you're working 12 months out of the year instead of just 10. So that's a lot of money for teacher pay. We always hear that teachers don't, we always need more money, we need more money. And I thought the teachers got a 5% pay raise last year. I'm not saying teachers don't deserve pay raise, but as he just said, there's people in the school system that just don't deserve that. All right, I also pulled up some more information. The mean household income by quintiles for Montgomery County. Okay, so the lowest mean is lowest is 8,346. Okay, second is 38,000. The third is 70,000. The fourth is 112. The highest mean is 230,000. Okay, the top 5% household income is $377,000. That's the top 5% in Montgomery County. I think it was Shelley Mayrock who spoke last week and said that those who have a $500,000 house can afford more taxes and so forth. So I guess talking about being equitable, we need to raise the taxes on the highest quintiles in the top 5% because they could cover all the taxes for everybody else. So that's where we ought to look at the revenue and just tax the rich. Okay. Also, we need you guys to take a look at. We had last year we had a 6.5% for inflation. This year we got 5%.
Mr. Beard, your time is up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Would anyone else like to come forward at this time? Ms. Price?
Good evening, Board. I'm Joanne Price, Blacksburg, Virginia. What a great time to be alive. While no one relishes the state of the country that tyranny recently established, it offers us an opportunity to reflect on the government of freedom that was born in the years prior to 1776. And we will use this opportunity to engage, educate with others, and restore the republic. I can't find anyone who voted for this inflation, high prices, homelessness. The American people did not vote for this. So where do we get it from? The people did not vote for high taxes and tax increases any more than the slaves voted to be enslaved. Taxation, government tyranny. The number one problem here point that I want to make is the county does not need the money. You don't have a deficit. So why are we raising taxes? We just got 5.6% windfall from the assessment. When we go back to budgeting, we have to look at why the founders used fund accounting for government budgeting. That's because budgets should never increase. Instead, limited government guarantees the protection of and the freedom of the people. People can create the wealth that they keep. The county must manage more efficiently. When I looked at the budget, I see about $3,070,163 that can be trimmed, all from growing personnel or growing government. The 5% raise is about $1,867,845, and then all of the other benefits that go along with that. So we can start by keeping last year's budget. No increases this year. If employees are added, guess what? You must eliminate an equal number of them so that the budget remains neutral, not the revenue. When we talk about revenue growth, we're talking about tax increases. That's the only way government can ever grow money is by taxing the people. So not one of us voted for this. Elected representatives vote the will of the people. Freedom from overtaxation. Installed puppets vote against the people and for the organizations and money who put them in power, in the office. Your vote confirms which one you are. There's one other thing I want to mention. The FBI has warned us of impending actions that might be negative and detrimental to the population. What actions are now being taken to protect our water supply from bioweapons attacks?
Thank you, Ms. Price. Would anyone else like to come forward at this time to address the board? Okay. Seeing no one, I'll close public address and turn it back over to Supervisor King and Mr. Clark.
Thank you for waiting.
Sure.
I know I brought it up several times, probably most time it's first year on Childress Road 45. And we talked about it several times about lowering speed limit all the way probably Tyler Road to 45. We got a little population growth and cars is just speeding too fast out through there.
From where to where?
But from starting on Route 8 to Childress, when you get off Route 8 onto Childress, it's 45. But after you get so far down there, it's 55, or it says end of 45.
Correct. So from there, you'd like it extended?
At least till Tyler Road,
Tyler.
at least. I mean, it wouldn't be bad if we go all the way out to Pulaski with it, but.
Yeah. Part of those, the curves kind of dictate. Part of those, the curves kind of tell you how fast you can go. But yeah, now I'll look at that section of it. Okay. One other thing I'd like to mention after the public address there, one of the things you can do with secondary construction funds, and especially that telecommunication fund, is put plant mix asphalt on a surface treated road. We can't do it any other way. If if a road has been constructed and is surface treated, it stays that way. Maintenance money is meant to keep it, in the condition that it was constructed, and that includes type of surface. But construction money can be used, and it's been used in the past quite often, as needs dictate, if traffic increases or whatever, there may be a need to take a service treated road and turn it into a plant mixed road, and that's a completely legitimate use of telecommunication fee, just to point that out. It doesn't have to be a specific line item in the 6-year plan, though. If we at some point would like to do what Mr. Vest suggested and put plant mix asphalt over a service treated road, we can discuss that, and it doesn't have to affect how the 6-year plan is structured, since it's majority of it is unpaid roads. But just like the countywide fund I was telling you about, a lot of those things, we spend construction money on it, but they're not specific line items in the 6-year plan. So it would fall under that kind of countywide sort of project, just for the board's information on
That's
that.
good
if
to
you
know.
wanted
Thank you.
Yeah.
Would you check on, see if we get lowered all the way to Pulaski, and that way it would calm down at Indian
They'll
Valley
probably just go
Drive?
ahead and, when they study it, they'll probably just study the entire section of it.
Yeah, that way it'll slow them down Dry Valley and in Indian Valley.
Yeah. And I think when you get to Snowville, it is pretty, I think the speed limit's down to like 35 in Snowville.
Yeah, well, if you'd let me know, I'd appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you all.
All right, at this time, we need to enter into work session. We have 2 items, the county capital projects update and the FY 24-25 budget. Do I have a motion to enter into work session?
Motion?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts? Aye. Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right. So we'll turn this over to Ms. Hill.
Thank you. We have Scott Woodrum with us this evening. He's going to give an update on 4 of our capital projects that are ongoing right now, and then we'll have a time for questions and some input from you at the end.
Good evening, Madam
Thank you,
Chair and
Scott.
members of the board. We're going to talk about the 4 projects that you were updated on back in January. The Magistrate and Court Services Facility, the Blacksburg Library Outdoor Improvements, the Eastern Montgomery EMS Facility, and the Auburn Park build-out. The first one on the list is the Magistrate and Court Services project over here behind the jail. These are some recent pictures from the construction. They've been setting storm drain structures and digging and placing the concrete for footers. The scope of this project includes new office space for the Magistrate and Court Services with separate suites to independently serve citizens, including space for future growth. It will also include a fully functional sally port with accommodations for law enforcement officers. Regional jail transport vehicles will also be served within the confines of the secure facility. This is a picture here of First Street is along the bottom, South Franklin is to the left, and the jail outline is right here where the north arrow is, and the existing somewhat triangular trapezoidal shaped sally port is right here. And so from the First Street side, the site, as you know, falls in grade toward the jail, and so it would step down to a couple of feet to the finished floor elevation of court services, and then the magistrate's office would be on the next level, and then the sally port would be a foot or so below that, tying into the existing grade. The construction, again, the building pads are complete, and they are installing the storm drain and placing concrete for the footers. We see an opportunity here to request 25% reimbursement for the construction cost of the Sally Port portion of the project. We're working with the Department of Corrections on that to seek reimbursement for a small percentage of the overall project cost, but it will be something that will benefit us. And then some of the milestones here to the left on this slide is the notice to proceed was issued February the 22nd. Substantial completion is expected in June per the contract, and final completion 30 days following that. The current budget appropriation is $8 million, rounding up, and the current expenditures, which includes the construction contract, special inspections, and the A&E fees, is $7.2 million. So the next project is the Blacksburg Library Outdoor Improvements. This project includes new and improved outdoor space between Draper Road and the existing facility for children's programs and other activities. Then there will be a new patio with built-in bench seating, a shading trellis, and electrical accommodations. There'll be tiered outdoor seating. There'll be a power and data pathway that will be provided to the presentation area down here at the kind of where the fork in the sidewalk is. And there will be new sidewalks for egressing and access to the tiered seating area that will meet ADA accommodations. Fencing will also enclose the site. The existing bus stop, the widening for the bus stop there on Draper will be taken up by the new sidewalk and will provide some additional space there for this overall project. There's a couple of renderings here. This shows the wood trellis that's being proposed with some outdoor seating. And here's the tiered seating, which will be made up of different rock from the area. And this shows the fence there in the bottom picture as well. Some milestones here for this project is we wish to issue a notice to proceed in May, and we anticipate the completion would be somewhere in the September-October timeframe in fall of this year. The current budget appropriation is $423,500 with a total estimate of $650,100. So appropriation is needed of $226,600. Next project, the Eastern Montgomery EMS facility. This project includes new construction of an 11,113 square foot facility, which would include 6,300 square feet in office, training, and living quarters with 3 apparatus bays of approximately 4,800 square feet. It would also include a station alerting system and a medical supply storage room. The living quarters would include individual bunk rooms, a lounge, a kitchen, bathrooms with showers, a fitness room, and a laundry room. These photos here, this aerial shows an early concept overlaid on the property there, which is to the east of the track across the road there, across from Old Town Road to the Shawsville Middle School. And then this image here on the right of the slide shows the grading. You see the access from Old Town Road, the heavy-duty asphalt around the building. We have a dumpster pad location. There'll be a generator, mechanical yard, and you can also see how the stormwater is going to be crossing the site, and we have a stormwater basin here just above the intersection of Old Town Road and 460. The milestones for this project, we anticipate advertising for bids in June, just a couple of months away. We have a notice to proceed we anticipate would be issued by October of 2024 and anticipate the length of construction about 16 months. The current appropriation is $4.7 million, and we have a current total estimated project cost of $11.3 million, with funds of 6.6 being.
If I could jump in right there for just a
Yes,
second.
ma'am.
I just wanted to remind everyone, I think most of you are familiar with this. When we put together the CIP, the capital improvement plan, we did set aside about $4.7 million for this project. That's how much we appropriated, but we always knew that it was going to cost more. I didn't want people to think that we thought at some point that it would only cost $4.7 million.
Thank you. Okay. So the final project I wanted to update you on is the Auburn Park. This is an aerial photo there. Right here's the Reiner Fire Station with the concrete loop around the south side of the facility, Reiner Road, written upside down. Rotate that photo on you. Apologize about that. And here's the concept, the full build out for the concept of the park. And so we have an access road which comes off of Route 8 and comes up and parallels this property line. And right around in this area, if you see my cursor, is where the end of state maintenance is proposed for the project. Then we have a continuance of the access road to this parking lot which would be, I guess, west of the fire station. We have another parking lot over here, and then we have a parking lot that parallels the access road coming in. We have 4 baseball fields, 2 multi-purpose fields with lighting, walking trails that are also proposed, as well as several picnic shelters and playgrounds, and we have multiple restroom facilities as well as part of this project. The portion of the road from Route 8 will be state maintained, which we are seeking reimbursement through the Recreational Access Program with VDOT. This is as you all may remember, we were talking about a larger field. The direction was to entertain that thought through a bid alternative through the bid process. And so I wanted to include this slide here for you to show the existing grades that was achieved through the mass grading part of the project. And then this here is the bid alternate that was included in the plans. And it shows this cut kind of to the upper left of the screen, pushing that slope back and rerouting what is this existing channel to the stormwater outfall, pushing it out around what would be graded in and filled in for extending the field from a 225-foot center line down the center field to 350 feet on the center field. As you are aware, the bids were received on April the 4th. We received 4 bids. They ranged from $13.2 million to $12.3 million. And the alternate was priced by all 4 bidders. And although the base bids were what we would consider competitive, the alternate part for the larger field, it appears maybe some bidders saw a different risk, if you will, with performing that work. So then we have the total of the base bid and the alternate on this right column there for you. In regards to the appropriation, the current appropriation is $10.1 million. We spent $2.5 to date, which includes the mass grading and architectural and engineering fees. The balance which is available is $7.6 million. Again, taking the low base bid of almost 3. If the board decided to go with just the 225-foot field versus the larger field, you'd be looking for about $4.7 million. The low bid, including the larger field, is right at 13.3, and what would then be needed would be 5.7, almost 5.8 million to get to the larger field, which in evaluating that, you're looking at about 1.1 million for the larger field. We put notice to proceed here as to be determined because we are looking for direction from you on how to proceed on that project. And Angie, would you like to speak to this particular slide now?
Yes, I have some sheets that I can share with you, and I can email this to you as well with the information about the bid so you can have that to keep a paper copy of. And then we thought at the end of the presentation, we do need to get some guidance from you about which direction you want to go with the Auburn Park, but there were a couple projects that need some additional appropriation. And so this sheet shows some choices of funding for that. They would be for our capital projects fund. You need another one? Okay, I'll get you one in a minute. Sorry about that. One source of funding, these are all one-time funds, so it's not an ongoing operating cost, but the first one is from general fund balance remaining at June 30th. If you know what, we have the long cash sheet, which I can share that with you as well, that shows at the end of the year how much our funding is, that sheet that I'm distributing to you is updated through the current board meeting, but it shows our June 30th cash balance, and then it shows appropriations that have been made to date, and it walks you across to the far right-hand side of the page to show you funding that could be available for projects. So there's $8.9 million rounded for that. And then I've mentioned to you before, and we've appropriated some money out of our debt service fund balance, which is county debt service. We don't currently need all of the transfer to debt service for our debt service fund. We don't need that all to pay our principal and interest payments, but it's important that we maintain that transfer so that we can cover debt payments in the future. And it's a source that we can use at this time for one-time items such as these capital projects. So that balance right now is about $4.5 million. So if you back out the estimated cost for the Blacksburg Library improvements and then the Auburn Park, whether the base bid or the large field, that shows you what the sources of funds for that would be. And I'm sorry that everyone doesn't have a copy of the bids. I'll email those to you. I don't know if that, maybe the printer ran out of paper. I don't know.
Okay, so you're looking for some direction as how to proceed.
Yes. So I think, is there one more slide? Yeah, so if you have any questions, we can help you with those, but the main item we need for direction at this time is about the Auburn Park field, whether or not to take the bid alternate or the base bid. And one thing, I know we talked before about, we estimated, or our A&E firm estimated that the cost to make the field larger would be about $300,000. You can see from the summary of the bids that did vary significantly based on the firm that proposed, but one of them was in that range.
Okay. All right, let's look for comments or questions at this time. Supervisor King, do you have anything you'd like to ask or comment on at this time since it's over there in your area?
I thought, 4 months ago, December, November, we give a consensus to move forward with the larger field because we don't have one in Montgomery County. And a lot of people is looking for that because they already got it that they want it.
All right.
Just to clarify, I think that we did have consensus from you to move forward with that, but you asked to see what the alternate
Right.
price was before we started.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah,
so that's
that was me. Do I want to know how much before
Right.
we spend it? Because we can't spend money if we don't know how much it is.
Yep.
Supervisor DeMonts, did you want to?
I have things to say,
Yeah.
yes.
Since you serve on Parks and Rec.
I joked last week. I said all along this was $1 million field. And so this doesn't surprise me. What surprises me is the disparity between the numbers. Bid B and Bid D obviously see something that A and C don't, and I don't know what C missed. And so that's a huge gap in the numbers that causes me pause if we're even looking at an actual $1 million field, or if there's something that B and D saw that could drive that cost further. I will, I guess, respectfully disagree. I don't think we had consensus to move forward. I think we had consensus. Everybody seemed to be, most everybody, myself excluded, seemed to be quite happy to move forward with looking at the cost. And since we had that meeting, we had baseball registration where we advertised for a team that would use the big field. And one person signed up. And when they were called, because one person does not make a team, when they were called to say, unfortunately, we don't have a team, so we're going to have to refund your money. The person that signed up had made the middle school team and was no longer going to be playing for Parks and Rec anyways. We did, however, have 19 teams sign up in Reiner that need the smaller fields. And I've made the argument before, and it's not something you can quantify with dollars and cents. It's a feeling. I really just have a bit of a personal objection to having kids playing on dirt when we haven't demonstrated a need for a field of such a large size. I just don't think that the need is there. I don't think that the need is coming. I really don't think that it's a wise investment. Knowing now that it's $1 million, I don't think that the bigger field is needed, and I don't think it's the best use of our funds. All of that said, I know we're considerably over what our estimate was. I know that the market has changed considerably since we first started talking about how much this would cost, and so that has had a significant impact. Obviously, I think that we should move forward. I just would like to ask again if we're moving forward with the big field or not.
Okay. Who else would like to comment or have questions? Okay, let's go with Supervisor Bone, and then we'll come to Vice Chair Fidzikowski.
I actually wanted to ask you about this sheet.
Okay.
Is there a reason why you don't have 2023 on there for unallocated base?
Hold on just a second. Jen, can you pull up the long cash sheet from the PowerPoint presentation?
And I'm assuming that those are fiscal years.
They are fiscal years. So 2023 is the year that you're looking at. That is confusing.
I see. I gotcha. But what about fiscal year? We don't have an estimate?
One more. It's about. There you go.
We don't have an estimate for 24?
We do not have an estimate for 24. The first, the number in the first sheet, top left is our audited cash balance at the end of June, so we don't project what that's going to be for June of 2024. We just start with that point in time, and then the middle of the screen or your sheet shows things that we've actually appropriated to date or items that cannot be spent, like health insurance. Mm-hmm. So that it's a point in time. We can't project that yet.
So, still looking at this unallocated balances, is that an additional $8.8 million added to the 15?
Those numbers that were unallocated as of August 31st of each of those years they've changed throughout the year because additional funds would have been appropriated out of those, and we might have transferred money to capital from those. It's just an estimate at a point in time. Mm-hmm. It's not a cumulative total.
Yeah, so as far as unallocated balances as of this last August 31st, it's $8.8 million.
That's correct, yes.
And is it about that now?
That's what it is. Oh, if we were to look at our cash balance today.
Yeah.
I don't think you can compare that because of how our tax collections work.
Right.
It wouldn't be comparable.
Okay. But this $8.8 million is a number that we can use to be available for other
one-time items.
One-time items.
Yes.
Like park, like magistrate's office, and
right.
stuff like that. And that's in addition to the extra, I don't know how many millions of dollars in extra revenue that we got?
Last year?
Yeah.
It's included in the number.
Okay.
That is part of what comprises the number and why we have that number. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So now, going back to the slide where everything was listed, and I think the bottom number was like $14 million or...
Scott, can you pull that up, the last, second to the last slide?
Not that, yeah, it's 11, yeah.
That one?
So technically, the 8.8 would cover the extra 7, right?
The way that works, the 8.8 is, I rounded it to 8.9 at the
Yeah.
top of the sheet. So we have sources of 8.9 and then
Yeah.
4.5 million from the debt service.
Right.
And then if you back out the
The additional
225 for the
needs, yeah.
library and then the Auburn Park with the bid alternate, we are left with 7.4 that could be left for, used either for the Eastmont EMS station or other future projects. One-time items, not recurring.
And how much was the Eastmont? Can you go to the 7? Slide 7, I guess.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell them what that number's based on, the estimated cost?
Yeah, this total project estimate is for the construction, the A&E fees, and other owner costs, such as fixtures, furnishings, and equipment, things like that.
And the way we get that is with a professional cost estimator.
Yeah, this
You know,
project was,
it's an estimate, so it's not right. The number isn't going to be right. We hope that
And
it's
it's
close.
today.
It was today.
Right, right.
Yeah.
at different phases, this project has been a little more closely estimated, I'll say, or continuously estimated. And that has been developed through a third-party estimator. That's what they do.
I guess as plans are developed and drawn out, that estimates can be refined because they're getting closer to what you're actually
So
going to
your
bid.
contingencies, your unknowns, right? Your unknowns become less and less, and like you know what type of roof, or you know what type of exterior finishes you're going to have, or things like that. Whether you're going to go with heavy-duty asphalt or not, or where that's going to be.
Okay, so my last part of my question, unless you counted what I've been asking as multiple questions.
No,
I
it's
can
all
wait.
related to the same thing,
Okay.
so you're,
Uh,
yeah, you're fine.
I know. So addressing Supervisor DeMott's comments, I personally still would like the larger field, just because residents requested it, and to create a larger field later on someday probably would cost a lot more money. And it was my understanding that we could still use the field for smaller games. It just would be available for larger games. So it wouldn't limit the number of smaller fields that we would need. Is that, or that we would be providing?
It just brings the kids into the dirt.
What,
It changes the way the field is designed, so there's a larger dirt area. of
near the
field.
outside
Right.
fence?
They'll
Yes.
never get to the grass, the outfield. They'll be in the infield in the dirt playing.
So
I mean, so they're playing like softball games are played. Is that what you're saying?
Softball games are played on the correctly sized fields for softball where the outfielders
it's
are
all
in the
dirt.
grass. No, the outfielders are in the grass.
But the infielders are all in dirt,
but now that
Now the whole team is coming
on
in.
dirt. Okay. And there's no way to have
Not
a
and have
compromise?
it, not and have it meet the regulations for SL.
So I would encourage us to have the grading for the larger field, but have the field smaller. So later on, we can,
It's still gonna cost the
the
same
cost
amount.
was still, right, it would
Oh,
still
okay.
cost the same amount. as the larger field.
expense is the earth moving. That's the expense.
I guess my point is since it's not going to be used as the large field today, but to have the footprint available for future, but the field made for the smaller games. So that, anyway.
it can
Do
be
you understand
converted.
what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I see what you're saying.
So that's what I would love to have the larger field potential now, but have the field for the smaller teams. Anyway,
One
you guys
thing I would
understand what
add
I'm
to
talking
that,
about.
if there was another, some of the people that spoke to you, I think they talked about the field being used for schools, for practice, maybe for the high school team. And if that's the case, I don't know if it would work to put the grass closer to the bases like you're talking about.
But that's for practice. They don't need a,
They're required to play in a certain type of field.
I guess what I'm saying is, if it's practice, they can practice on a non-regulation field as long as they've got,
I don't think they can.
can't even practice on a,
Don't.
okay, whatever.
I don't know the answer to that question, but other people know more about baseball than I do.
Okay. Supervisor Kitts?
You know, there's an old saying, if you build it, they will come. So if you don't have it, you're right. Nobody's ever going to sign up for
We
it.
do have it.
There's no, but I'm saying for there.
We-
One person you signed up for a full-size field, and you have portable mounds that match for VHSL that you're allowed to move in and out. So I'm going to lean towards a bigger field because it's better to have it, not need it, than need it, and not have it. And it presents the opportunity for the community and shows that, hey, we heard you, we listened, we want to give you the opportunity to succeed, and, you know, this is the field.
We
So-
always have the field available for the older team. We always have it as an option. It's, the problem is people aren't registering for that age bracket.
Yeah.
They use the high school field. When they put together teams, if there's enough teams in the division to actually play and field games, they use high school fields. Because other localities that we compete against also don't have fields. They go in after the high school seasons to use the high school fields.
I'd still like to see Reiner have the opportunity to have the bigger field, so that's where I'm sitting.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? All right, Vice Chair Fidzikowski?
I don't know of a kid who doesn't, after hitting that ball, doesn't want to slide through mud. They love it. So I'm in favor of the larger field too. But Supervisor DeMotts brings up a good point. The differences in some of these prices. Let's say we were to go with the low bid and run into a issue. Would we be on the hook for that, or would the contract be strong enough that they would have to finish?
Well, there's unit costs in there for rock and trench rock for running utilities and things like that, they have the ability to recuperate costs for excavating in that material. What other type of risks are you thinking?
Well, I mean, if they're adding, I mean, we estimated the extra price to be 300,000, and they're like 2 million over that. What are they seeing
Yeah, that's.
that would bring that cost that high? Do they do core samples for a project like
They were
this?
provided a geotechnical report on the county's website. There was a geotechnical report provided to them.
Okay.
I can't
Scott,
answer
if I
how they.
may, just to add a little perspective. Of course, we don't know what the companies are looking at. They have the design, they have all the information, and the base bid, all four of them are very competitive within $800,000. I think if you kind of look at the difference, base bid A and C are $13 million. There's about $1 million difference between B and D, A and C. Two of those companies, in theory, shifted their cost to the base bid and less to the bid alt, and the other two had a lower base bid and a higher bid alt. So in the end, they're all estimating and hedging their bid on what their cost is, what they think they can, make as their profit, and ultimately what the county would choose. So yes, the bid alternate for bid C is lower, but the base bid's higher. So ultimately, we have a choice of if all we want to do is the base, that's the lower number. but we're going to switch contractors to go with the bigger field because the total was less than bid D. So I'm kind of talking around it, but I think
Yeah,
it's
you had
just-
me up
it's-
to that point.
Yeah, I think the point is the bid alternates do vary widely, but you'll see they moved their money to the base bid and less in the bid alta.
So they shifted their risk, basically.
And they're just shifting their risk. And then
Well-
to Scott's point, there are clauses with
over $1 million.
unit costs to protect both sides if they run into rock, unsuitable soils, and what they're going to charge us for. But it also kind of helps keep them kind of limited to managing those costs.
Okay, thank you. I'm in favor of the large field.
Okay. Supervisor Grafsky, did you want to add anything or? Okay.
I do have a follow-up.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I
Supervisor
I
DeMoss.
think Vice Chair Fidzikowski was on a good path with his question, and I don't feel like it got, to my satisfaction, answered, even though it wasn't my question. If we select bid C and they get into building that larger field, and we suddenly find out the reason that they're $670,000 less than the next highest cost for that, what happens? What if they find out why these other people bid? I mean, even with the differences with the base bid and the final cost, you're still at $1 million. What if we find that $1 million in the ground? Does Montgomery County pay that $1 million, or is it part of the bid package?
I think we would have to go to the contract and look at how that's worded and make sure that we're following that appropriately.
So possibly the county could end up having to pay more, depending on the
And
contract.
and again, as you know, that could be with any project, right?
Right,
you know,
yes.
we don't know what we don't know, which
Right.
is anything under the ground. We do borings, and there's some geotechnical assumptions made for how foundations, but until the shovel goes in the ground, we don't really know.
Do all of the bids exclude rock, or do they all include some portion and we don't know how much, and then there's an additional cost? Because you talked about that a few minutes ago about the additional cost for that.
So there's unit prices for rock, trench rock for running utilities, and unsuitable soils. And there is I'm going to call it a token amount, some amount that is listed in the bid for the contractor to place their unit cost on. And that is included in this first column, in that base bid column. Each one of those contractors put a price on trench rock, and unsuitable soils. And so when they're found, and the geotechnical firm that's doing the testing and for the construction materials and testing for us, they would verify that and take that quantity, and that would be processed through the pay application. And that contractor could then request payment for that.
And they all include the same units, the same quantity on those.
Right. That's given through, the A&E gives that in the bid form. And then each individual contractor can choose, okay, I'm placing X on trench rock, and contractor bid B would have Y. And they're all gonna likely pick a little different number because they're trying to be competitive.
But
it all depends on how much they find.
Right.
If there is no rock, then
We don't pay.
we don't pay. We have a lesser cost. If there is rock, we pay more than the base bid. But the reason you do that is if you don't put something in like that, then the contractors are going to have to insure or protect themselves more, and so they're going to make the bids higher. And it may be not a good reason to make the bid higher. There may not be no rock. So that's reasons you put those rock clauses in there, is to protect everybody, and no one's inflating bids because they're worried about rock.
So this base bid number, as Marty, great point, they find no rock, they encounter no rock, then actually that base, it's likely the cost of the project would be slightly less than the actual base bid number. barring any other
Right.
change orders or issues that may come up.
Now, if they don't find rock or anything like that, and they just underbid and they didn't, then they're responsible to finish the project. If there's something there that wasn't in the documents that would cause what you call a change order, then we might have to pay more. So it just comes down to what are they paying for, or what are they saying their bid's going to cover? And we know one thing it doesn't cover is rock.
Okay, and I think Supervisor Bone and then Vice Chair Fidzikowski.
Have we done business with each one of these contractors?
I'm trying to think. Sorry.
What, the
Three of the four. Three of the four that
Is
we have.
one of the three C?
We've done business with C.
Yes.
C and D we have.
And B.
What about A?
B was the other one.
We haven't done
A?
A.
No?
Yeah,
Okay.
let's don't get into who contractors are at this point, yeah.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, and Vice Chair Fidzikowski.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, and it's already been mentioned, the number of people that came out in support of a larger field and how they justified it. That's really what convinced me that we should go forward with at least one larger field. I guess it puts some kind of a burden on Parks and Rec, but I think now is the time to do it when we're building the park. To do it later, probably it wouldn't wind up there. It'd probably wind up in another location in that area. But I remember they were very passionate about having this option, and I think we should go with it.
Okay, anything else down here? Okay, so tonight what you're looking for is sort of a consensus to move forward. It sounds like we have a majority wanting to move forward with the larger field. Does that give staff enough?
Yes, it does. We can come back to you at the next board meeting with an appropriation for the additional funds required, and then we can move forward from there with issuing the purchase order and the contract.
Okay.
We'll also bring up resolution next meeting for the additional funding for the library project.
Okay. All right, anything else about any of these projects under capital? Yes, Vice Chair Fidzikowski.
I noticed that for the magistrate's office, the big generator that was in the parking lot still sitting in its same location. Is that going to be moved?
No, sir. That is a generator for the public safety building.
Okay.
And there's some conduit, duct bank through there that we cannot disturb.
Okay. Just was curious.
It does get screened and landscaped though. So it doesn't just sit out in the open. Correct.
Okay.
I'll double check that, but I believe you are right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Hey,
Supervisor
just one
King?
more thing before you walk off, Scott. First of all, thank y'all for supporting a larger field. So once this goes out, you said you're going to come back and we'll appropriate the money?
We have to appropriate the money, and then we can award the contract. That's right.
So we got a special meeting tomorrow?
No. We
Be
have a
at the
meeting next week. It's just supposed to be a work session. I don't know.
You can put it on the agenda, yeah.
We've been waiting so long.
I'd love to be able to tell the Parks and Rec Commission that we're going to vote on it next week.
So-
We have a meeting on Thursday, so that would be awesome.
So it sounds like you're both in agreement about that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've been waiting. So if I just say next Thursday we appropriate the money, have you got any idea when it'll get started?
Next Monday.
So,
That Friday?
so we'll need to negotiate the contract. We'll need to go over the contract part of it, and the county has to sign, the contractor has to sign. We have a couple things we need to do. I'm just thinking through the steps. So
Why don't we email you tomorrow and tell you what the time frame will be on that?
Do it in public so you can't backslide on me.
Well, we can do that
Supervisor King, it's to be determined. First slide, number 10.
If you would, I'd appreciate letting me know.
We can let you know what we think.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I say one other thing before you get too far away? I know that I was hard on you, and I did not mean to be. So please know that I was just passionate about the park and nothing at all.
No,
I
ma'am,
really,
didn't-
really
didn't take that.
appreciate your
It's
presentation.
all good. Thank you all for letting me present to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Supervisor DeMott is passionate about Parks and Rec, and she really represents us well.
I do try.
It's in your heart and soul, so, okay. All right, anything else about the capital projects before we move to the budget part? Okay. Ms. Hill, any information about the budget that you want to share before we?
I don't imagine everyone has had an opportunity to hear what the governor said today,
Right,
but
I
he
think
did.
an update would be good.
Yes, he came out at about 1 o'clock this afternoon, so I don't have all of the information completely vetted yet, but it does, I can't remember now what he calls the budget either, but he has a positive name. They feel like consensus was reached. Some items have changed on the taxes on the revenue side, but they are still moving forward with 3% for teacher pay increases. So that's good for our schools, and we'll let you know more about that. That was the big item that came out from that.
Okay. Any questions about that so far? Right.
No, it is a compromise budget. He worked with the General Assembly and sent it back he did not veto it, which had been discussed that he might veto the budget. So he sent it back with some amendments that they feel like they can work through, it looks like. So they'll come back on the 17th of April, the General Assembly will, and then they'll take action hopefully after that.
Right. Okay, so let's find out, are there any questions that have come up as you've sort of, listened to the different conversations? Is there anything that anyone wants to bring up or discuss at this time about the budget? Okay, Vice Chair Fijikowski.
One of the items was the Shawsville Rescue Squad building. If this is a good time to bring that up. In light of some other items we're going to be, or I'm going to be bringing up as far as the Elliston Fire Department. They're going through a tough time right now, and we're going to have to make some changes and do some things, but I would appreciate if Michael was probably up here, but
Here he comes.
this may result in us taking a pause, I think, on the rescue squad building, and we can get into that if Michael can catch everybody up to date on the fire department.
Okay.
Good evening, board members. I hope you all are doing well tonight. I wanted to just start this by saying that Chief Ebel's here with me tonight. This has been a few months that we've been looking into this and trying to come up with a solution that makes the most sense for the county residents and also makes the most sense for us in the fire department. And that's been our big pitch, is we want this to be as collaborative as possible. So we started meeting with Elliston a few months ago to start talking about some issues that we noticed with their daytime fire call response. And what we came to is that they just didn't have the people during the day. They work jobs, they're out of the area. They weren't able to respond to the fire calls when they were called. Chief Ebel, I give him a ton of credit. He's on just about every single one of them, sometimes by himself. And that's really where this need has come up. So just some historical background. So for the past few years, what we've been doing is looking at every fire and rescue agency within the county, pulling call statistics, data from the 911 center. And what we do is we generate reports on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever it needs to be, to get a good idea of where our fire and rescue squads are at. And what we do is we pull all that information and essentially compare it to standards that we've set or standards that are national. So with our EMS response within the county a couple years ago, as our department was created, we looked at adopting a standard EMS response plan, which essentially established not goals, but standards that the EMS agencies needed to meet to be providing high-quality, timely EMS coverage. With fire departments, it's a little bit different. There are national standards in place. And as you'll see, the NFPA standard 1720 is what we look at when we look at our volunteer departments within the county. And what that standard sets, it's specific to volunteer departments. So you're looking at a base where you know that volunteer coverage is going to be different than career coverage. In some cases, the volunteer and career are really not much different. In our case, it is a little bit different, where a majority of our volunteers are responding from home, responding from work. Whereas with that career staff or in-house volunteer staff, you're getting response as soon as the call drops. So NFPA 1720, it basically sets the standard for volunteer fire response, and it's broken down by population. So your urban areas, your suburban, rural, and remote. When you look at Elliston and Shawsville, most of that is going to fall into the rural category, with some of your like Allegheny Springs and North Fork maybe falling into a remote. And when we look at rural, what the standard says is that you need 6 firefighters on scene within 14 minutes of that call being dispatched. And so when we look at all of the departments across the county, we compare it to that standard and we say, all right, are these departments meeting the needs of the community? And that's what this has come out of. It was determined through all the information that we pulled that it wasn't feasible for them to meet these standards without supplementation. So just kind of getting into the need of it, there's some statistics here for you to look at. Breaking it down a little bit more, when you look at your average dispatch to en route time, that's the time from when the 911 center dispatches the call to the time that the first officer or apparatus vehicle is en route to the call. And then your dispatched on scene time is just the same when the call is being dispatched by the 911 center to the time it takes them to get to the call itself. So what you'll look at there is calendar year 2023. Elliston Fire responded to 209 total fire calls. They also respond to some EMS calls, so that's strictly on the fire side. You'll notice the dispatch to en route times 9 minutes and 16 seconds, with the average on scene time being 16 minutes and 11 seconds. And when we really started diving down into the need for this, we pulled October through January, and that's what a lot of our discussions have been based on. And you look at where those times have increased. And when you're looking at that dispatch to en route time, that's really the time that the department can affect in a response. You don't have to take into consideration travel distance. The only thing that the department can actually affect is how long it takes them to get a truck on the road. And that's why it's so important to get out the door fast, because you could be right across the street. It could be 10 miles away. So it really is up to the department to get out the door as quickly as possible. And with that standard, you also need the right amount of people to get out the door. So those are the statistics that we pulled, and here are 2 examples kind of really highlighting the need for something down there. Both examples are of structure fires down in the Shawsville-Elliston community. And you'll see, I don't want to read the whole thing to you, but on both fires, it took an extended period of time for a truck to leave the station and be en route to the call. And then when they actually arrived on scene, there really wasn't an adequate amount of people. And that's not just to put out the fire, that's a safety consideration too, and why that standard is so important, because with fire calls, the hazards you're facing are much higher than on the EMS side. And so the more people you have, the safer the scene is, the more that you can do without worrying about having to get hurt. So that really goes over the need of everything. Like I said, Chief Ebel is here tonight, and again, I want to give him a ton of credit. When we first started talking about this, he immediately came up with a game plan for how they were going to start addressing issues internally. One of the things that they did that's been very successful so far is at night, they have volunteers actually stay at the station. So they've purchased a lot of furniture to be able to allow themselves to stay at the station overnight. And so far that has worked very well. They're getting out the door much quicker at nighttime because they're actually there in the station. That was a huge commitment from him, a huge commitment from his volunteers, and it's been very successful so far. So again, just a real credit to what they've been able to do. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Okay. Yes, since it's in your district, Vice Chair Fijikowski, what would you like to say?
Well, I've been a part of all the meetings that we've had down there, and Michael's correct. Chief Ebel has come up with a plan that is working for nighttime. So the only time they need help is going to be during that daytime. After going through the Shawsville Rescue Squad incident, I shouldn't say incident, but the decline of volunteers is just something that's real. It just seems to be getting worse, but in the more rural areas, it is tougher because some of the firefighters have to, when they leave their home, they may have to drive several miles before they get to the station and respond with a truck. But Chief Ebel has asked for this help, and I don't know of any other way to do it other than to put paid staff in there during the day. I was able to, with his permission, speak to his folks at their last meeting, and we talked about this, and it seemed to be well received. Now, does that mean you're not going to have anybody leaving? Probably not. You're always going to have some, but I believe that he has instilled in them that responsibility to make this thing work. And I told them that it has to work or else there won't be Elliston Fire Department anymore. If they're not able to do the calls, then we would be responsible for bringing in paid staff 24 hours a day. Now, we talked about volunteers themselves volunteering with the paid staff. We talked about a lot of issues. I tried to assure them that we are not doing this lightly. We're doing this because we have to. We have to because the calls won't get answered properly. So, and we got to do that. We ran into that incident in with the rescue squad, and we don't want to have to deal with issues like that again, where something serious happens because we waited too long. So I think it's time that we start looking into this and seeing where it's going to go. Again, it's my vision, and I think theirs too, to make the nighttime work. And if they can continue doing that, then I think we'll know in short time. Again, now comes the new building, and I told them that if it were up to me, if they are not able to do it and they can't maintain the night shift, then we may have to think a little bit differently on the rescue squad building. It may be if we have to spend money to do it more efficiently, might be to look at making that building a combined operation. As you all know, the EMS people are in that building, which is why it was a tough thing for Chief Ebel to work out, because they're sleeping in the beds. So he had to find more in order to make his plan work, and I guess it's working, but if we end up having to have 24-hour coverage of paid staff, then it may be smarter for us to look at improving that building, if that's possible. I mean, that's I say it's a long way off, but it may not be a long way off. We may be able to see if they're able to do it within a matter of a couple months. So because of that, I'm thinking we might be better off to put a pause on building the rescue squad building until we know for sure, so we can make the decision. it's very uncomfortable to say that because, you know, we count on these volunteers, and I hate to put them through all this, but we also have a responsibility to the taxpayers and to spend their money wisely. So I just wanted to throw that out there. They are trying very hard to make this work at night, and so far it is, and it's that's a good thing. So.
Okay, and let me, are there any questions or comments on this side right now about any of this? About this side? Okay, Supervisor DeMotts.
Do we have a proposal for what we need to do during the daytime? Or are we kind of just in the very early stages now?
Wanted to, Supervisor Fidzikowski let us know that he was going to bring this up tonight, and we haven't talked about the details of it for very long, so we don't have a plan for you yet. We
Gotcha.
wanted to get some direction before we started doing that, because as we move forward with that, more people are going to know about that. We didn't want to create any kind of.
Right.
And the other part of this whole thing is that it will impact our budget, and it's currently not in the budget, correct?
It is not currently in the budget, so that's something else that we can look at, what the anticipated cost would be. We talked earlier about the fact that if the state came through with additional funding from the governor's original proposed budget, that the tax rate could likely be scaled back. So we can look at some of those things and figure out what direction we need to go.
Because the bottom line is the public safety for our citizens and having the proper response call. That's the bottom line, so.
Well, and to Steve's point, just
Yeah.
if I could finish, I get what you're thinking, and I think it makes a lot of sense. And I know that was probably like, you've been talking about this, wanting this for your community for forever. So I know that that was a hard thing to say, but I support you in that, for sure.
Okay, Supervisor Ketz.
So right now, ballparking, how much time do they spend on 81? Because I know we're kicking around some of that stuff.
I don't have the exact figures.
Just ballpark. I know you don't. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Get that
Just
for you
ballpark.
tomorrow. Can we get that for you?
Because I've seen some of it. I'm just trying to, the day versus the night. And I think I'd kind of lean that way because, you also want to take care of the people. You also want to make sure that, the station is where it needs to be. I think Supervisor Fidzikowski brought up a good point that we probably need a hold because we may have to build it out. Even with the volunteers at night, you may be smart just to do that anyway. Because if they're already doing their own thing and purchasing furniture and things like that, I think maybe go that way anyway, that we plan ahead and we be proactive in it, that we build the station looking ahead. So, and that's okay. I've got some of that stuff. I was just trying to think of something, but you're good.
Anybody else like to comment or ask a question? All right. I think it's really important that, this was brought to our attention, and thank you for organizing that in a presentation. I guess that can be sent to us, right?
Yes,
Yes.
We'll send it to you. We can put it
Okay.
on board docs as well, and we'll come forward with more presentations as we go through the process and get more of a plan vetted out for you.
Okay. And let me ask, are there any other questions or concerns at this point about the budget while we're in work session? Supervisor Bone.
Similar to what happened last year when we kept our tax rate revenue neutral, has the county administration and staff gone back through the budget to see if they could carve out anything else? We're done with.
Good. We'll call you back up
Yeah.
if we need you.
What I'm saying
Thank you,
is,
Dick.
it was sort of like two steps, right? Last year, we asked the county administration and staff to come back to see if they could find any money that we could take out of the budget. And then we took out more from the
That
proposed
is correct.
budget.
You did that, but Are you asking us
I'm
to
asking-
find things to cut from the
Yeah.
current year budget?
Yeah.
I don't have anything that I would recommend at this time cutting from the budget.
So what's different about this budget compared to last year that you could?
It was painful last year to cut some of the things that we had to cut out, but we were told that we had to do that. We did make a strong effort to take out one-time items as we went through the budget. We have shared with you over the time with the paid EMS that we would need to get another ambulance at some point, and we do need to do that in fiscal year 25. We didn't include it in the budget because that can be paid for with one-time money. So we, in my opinion, we did that already. We already pulled those things out.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Anything else at this time? Okay, then I guess we can entertain a motion to come out of work session. Is there such a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
And at this time, we'll take a 10-minute break, and then we'll come back and start with items of consent. Where's Todd? All righty. Okay, we have all our people back now, so we can go ahead. Okay, we're going to restart, and we are to items of consent, which we had several. Is there a motion to pass?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, that leads us to, let's see, oh, there was no addendum. We forgot to mention that
There
earlier.
were no addendum. You're right.
Okay, and that leads us into new business. And first up, we have our plan for the health insurance benefits that Supervisor DeMott's had originally brought up. And so we can go ahead and, is there anything you want to add to that, or do we want to go ahead and put a motion in a second so we can
I
discuss
do want
it?
to add one
Yeah,
thing.
okay,
Jen's going to
good.
display a
Okay.
slide for you that has the cost that I estimated. So the third column is not an actuary, but it's Plan C revised, which is
Okay.
Plan C with the higher rate for single coverage for Key Care 1000 or the high deductible plan. That's an estimated cost per year, so it didn't change much at all.
Okay,
The reason for that is because the vast majority, 75% or so of our employees are enrolled in Key Care 200. So it doesn't have a very big impact.
okay. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get a motion, and I'm going to,
So moved.
okay, and there's a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Just to clarify that Plan C is the 419.40 across the board if an employee is in the employee-only category, but we still have the 60% stipend for any other plan.
Other coverages, that's correct, yes.
And then I had 3 follow-up questions that I just wanted some clarity on. And I feel like I should have them written down, but I don't. I've already shared them with Angie. The first was if we have an employee who has an employee and spouse plan, and the retired employee becomes Medicare eligible, what happens to their plan at that point? The spouse then has to go into the marketplace and find insurance?
Right, the spouse could elect COBRA for a certain time period, and then they would have to go into the marketplace.
Okay.
I might know your other question.
I have them. I just
Okay.
found them.
Okay.
I knew that they were. I knew that they were on one of these items. The second is if an employee keeps the high deductible plan, which comes with the FSA or HSA deposit, does the deposit still continue to happen post-retirement?
It would not continue to happen post-retirement. Those investments are not applicable for retirees. There is a different plan that could be set up in the future for retirees, but we don't have that at this time, so it wasn't included in the proposal.
So, and I ask that not because I think it should be, but just because I would want any employees that are considering retirement to be aware of all of the various parts
Right.
of what they could be eligible for in enough time to make a plan decision before retiring. And then the third question that I had in the event that a retired employee moves outside of our area but chooses to keep their plan, how would they continue to participate in the annual health stat screening? And would there be an option for their doctor to submit paperwork? So
We would have to evaluate that. I don't think there would be a big call for it, and it's not really part of being eligible for this program, but we would certainly work with them to do that. Because currently, employees are allowed to be on our health insurance plan without going through that program, but they pay an additional premium. So we might look at something like that because the health clinic really, really helps us keep our rates low. So that's really important. So we want to incentivize people to do that. So we might need to look at that from a different perspective if it came up. But I don't know that it would come up a lot.
Okay, thank you. Those
You're
were the
welcome.
only questions I had. And thank you all for how open everybody has been to discussing and considering this. I think that this is just a phenomenal benefit that we can offer employees and will enable us not only to recruit the best and brightest, but then also retain the best and brightest. So thank you all for your willingness to have these conversations.
Yeah.
He's specifically excluded, right?
And thank you, Supervisor DeMotts, for bringing this up and to our attention, and staff for doing all the work that was required to get it here. Are there any other comments or questions at this time? Okay, so we're ready for roll call.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Ms. DeMotts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, so our next item involves a precinct change, and I'm going to call on Mr. McMahon just to sort of explain it, and then we'll go ahead and see if we can take care of it.
All right, thanks. The registrar is currently going through an audit, which they always do. And the audit found this one split precinct that we have. And if you guys are probably familiar, the laws changed not too long ago where you're not allowed to have split precincts. Split precincts basically where you have a precinct where you may have part of the people in the precinct voting for one Senate district and part are voting for another, that'd be a split. Or if they're voting for town elections and some aren't voting for town elections, that'd be a split. And the reason you don't want them is because it could create error. It definitely increases the chances of error because you have what ends up having, you have different ballots that then go to different citizens based on where they live or where they reside within that precinct. And so I thought we did a really good job making sure we didn't have one, but we ended up having one. And it's a very small, minor one. It's basically 3 residences, and they're on Laurel Ridge Mill Road. It's 5 registered voters within those 3 residences. And the split is they're in the D2 precinct in Reiner. However, because of they're on the one side joining D4. That's actually in the Senate 4 district. So the split is everyone in D2 is voting in Senate 5, with the exception of these 3 residences. They would be voting in Senate 4. So now you got a split, and so we're trying to solve it. And it's a minor change. This one little section I gave you a little map that GIS produced for us that shows these 3 residences being moved into D4. Their voting place will change by about a mile in distance, I think. It's not very far away from their current one. They'll vote for the same people other than the Senate. They'll be voting in Senate District 4. Where everyone else in D2 will be voting in Senate District 5. If the way the process works, the board has to schedule a public hearing. The change is done by ordinance, and the change would be amending the D4 and D2 precincts boundaries to include these 3 residences on Laurel Ridge Mill Road, moving them into D4 out of D2. Once you guys approve that, we have the public hearing, get comments. Once you approve it, Then I have to file for approval from the Attorney General's office, pre-clearance. That usually takes about 60 days. It can take up to 60 days for them to do it. We'll ask for expedited approval because we need to get this done as soon as possible because we have a general election coming up in November. So these 3 residences obviously will get personal attention. They'll be notified prior to the public hearing that this is happening, and so it's not a big change, but there's a lot of things we got to go through to get it done. So, any questions?
Okay, any questions for Mr. McMahon?
So we are going to notify them, the county will notify them,
Yeah. The registrar will notify them. Yep.
Okay.
and they will be told that this is a state thing. It's something we're not doing.
You really don't have much.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
We don't
you
have
don't
a
have
choice.
much leeway.
Choice, right.
Right. You don't have much choice.
Right.
There's one, you can ask for a waiver, but the waiver is really based on when you can't create enough people to create a precinct. You know, where it's impossible to avoid the split because if you avoid it, you create a precinct that has like 6 people in it. And that's not the issue here. D4 and D2 are, the size isn't the issue. It was just, it didn't get caught when we did that boundary, so.
Well, it's just 3 residents, right?
Yeah, 3 residents where 5 people vote,
Yeah,
or
and it'd be-
registered to vote.
That would be the same thing like we was over in Plum Creek with them 3 people.
Correct, right. But yeah, we'll let them know, we'll advise them that this is going on, and we'll tell them where they'll be voting in relation to where they're currently voting.
I was gonna say, that's the biggest impact, right, is their voting
Yeah.
precinct.
Exactly, yeah, they go from Auburn High School to the church, is the Brethren, I forget.
The new one that they just put up, I think.
Yeah.
The one that they added to District D.
Yeah, but they're only about a mile apart in distance, so like 4 miles drive or something like that.
Yeah.
And they still get to vote for Todd.
As long as they know this is not our decision, it's something we have to do.
Right.
Correct, yeah, and we'll let them know that.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions before we call for a motion for the public hearing, to schedule the public hearing, rather?
And it's May 13th, so it's a month away.
Okay. Okay, that's good to know, too. All right, is there a motion to go ahead and schedule this public hearing for May 13th?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, our next item of new business is passing a resolution for National Child Abuse Prevention Month, which is April 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay. Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Okay, our next item is a resolution for National County Government Month, April 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Anybody want to do that one?
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Now, the next one is a resolution for National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, April 2024, which every time I go out, I see distracted driving. I try not to do it myself, but this is really important because it causes accidents. Is there a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, on that.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
Our next one is a resolution for National Library Week, April 7th through the 13th, 2024. Supervisor Kitts, do you want to put that on the floor?
Yes, I would.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Fitchukowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Grafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
And our next item is a resolution for National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Krafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
And our last resolution tonight is National Therapy Animal Day, which is April 30th. Is there such a motion?
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Discussion.
I would like to thank everybody for putting this on. I think I asked a couple of years ago to have this done, and it was brought to my attention, and I do appreciate that.
It's important. It's important to recognize our therapy dogs
And cats.
and other animals. Some people have some different ones.
Yeah, some people have some very different ones, including snakes.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we have it on the floor, correct?
Yep.
All right, roll call, please.
Mr. Motts?
Aye.
Mr. Krafsky?
Aye.
Ms. Bone?
Aye.
Mr. Kitts?
Aye.
Mr. King?
Aye.
Mr. Fidzikowski?
Aye.
Chair Biggs?
Aye.
7 ayes.
All right, next we're to our reports. And County Attorney, Mr. McMahon, do you have a report tonight?
I just have one request, maybe on National Therapy Animal Day, which is April 30th. Archie could come visit us.
Yes.
He could be the poster child for that, that's for sure.
Yeah, we all want to meet Archie. Okay. Anything else? All right, Ms. Hill, County Administrator report.
Thank you, Chair Biggs. On behalf of the employees of the county, I want to thank you all for approving the health insurance for retirees. I've had several employees reach out to me and talk about what an important thing that is and how much they appreciate it. It really means a lot. I want to remind you of April the 18th. In this building, we will have a Passenger Rail Station Authority meeting, not authority, but Passenger Rail Station open house. And then on April 29th, we'll have the joint meeting with the schools. That location is to be determined. Chair Biggs and I last week met with some representatives from Christiansburg, Blacksburg, and Virginia Tech, along with, Chris was there too. Organized the whole thing and led us. So he was definitely there. Sorry. Also with the division president for HCA, we met about the concerns that citizens have brought forward about the OB services, that delivering babies had been placed on pause. And they were very, very receptive. They were very open. They wanted to meet with us, and they wanted to know how we could help them, and they were extremely responsive. They shared with us that that they have pushed pause on this service because it's important that they do the service safely, and they don't have enough doctors currently with that specialty to cover the shift work and the on-call volume. So they're hopeful to recruit someone for that in the future and be able to get that program going again. They've had other specialty programs in the past that they've had to push pause on that got started back up and are thriving, so they are very hopeful for that. But they wanted us to be able to share that news and just let people know that if there's somebody out there who would be willing to do that in our area, it would be a really great thing.
And I have notes from that meeting that I just got back from HCA today that said, yeah, you worded it the right way, because I don't always speak doctor speak, so I'll send those out in the morning.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would just add to that, like, they're really looking for it. They said if they could find one doctor that would be interested in opening up a practice and wanting to live here, and they had a friend, and then they could expand it, because I think what they would like to see in the future is like 4 doctors, correct?
Right, that's right.
Yeah. So if you know anybody that's in that specialty that we could talk into coming, we have a wonderful community. So there you go. Anything else, Ms. Hill?
That's all, thank you.
Okay, let's go to board member reports. How about Supervisor Grafsky?
I don't have anything to report tonight.
Okay, Supervisor DeMott.
No report.
Okay, Supervisor Bone.
I want to congratulate the Virginia Tech women's basketball for having an incredible season, and our new coach that's coming.
Yes, okay. And Supervisor Kitts.
No report.
Okay, and Supervisor King.
Had no report, but April, I thought you was gonna bring up amendment for that retirement stuff.
Just one?
Okay, and Vice Chair Fitchikowski.
Shaw's Vegas is coming up,
Oh, boy.
27th of April. You can really get it out of your system. It's just play money.
Are you going to be working it?
No, I won't be working it. I'm not that smart, so, but I will be playing.
Ooh,
And there's also a nice dinner they have there too, so.
yeah. Okay.
It's a good time.
Good to know. And I don't have a report except what I added to Ms. Hills. Anything else for the cause? If not, we are officially adjourned.